Sidecar British Grand Prix. Wieland and Valtisberg, the World Championship leaders, in pole position, having unofficially shattered the lap record. In the centre of the front rank, Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, the reigning world champions who won here last year. Then, completing the front rank, the Swiss Egloff brothers. In the second row, Egbert Streuer and Schneiders, ex-world champions 3 times, Bernard Schneiders, and Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque. And the top 2 ranks, unsurprisingly, contain the top riders. Now, watch the passengers. It's an excellent start from Wieland, a not very good one for Webster, but a very good one for Egbert Streuer, who is into the lead. No, yeah, nearly taking Wieland off. So Egbert Streuer has come through from the second row into second position and off. Now let's identify them as they go off. One of them was the Zerbrugge brothers, who were in the front row of the grid. There they are. And Steve Abbott and Sean Smith, the British pairing, who are 5th equal in the championship, and they've certainly made things difficult for themselves. And it's Wieland leading. Rolf Wieland, the World Championship leader, who has won every round of the championship so far, all 6 of them, leading. Then it's Streuer, then it is Webster. So Steve Webster, the reigning world champion, has got to work very hard indeed, because it is a new Rolf Wieland that we're seeing this year. Webster in 3rd position, Streuer in 2nd place, 3-2-1 in reverse order, and it's Derek Jones and Peter Brown in 4th position, the British pairing. So there are 2 British outfits in the top 4 places. Coming up over the crest, down to the Melbourne hairpin, Wieland and Streuer. Streuer goes through into the lead, loses it. Wieland is going to take it back again. He does so. Streuer runs wide. Steve Webster in 3rd position. Coming up to Goddard. And into the left-hander, it's Streuer's got the inside line, but Wieland rides round him, and Webster's going to do the same thing. Steve Webster runs very wide over the line. It is Wieland, Streuer, Webster, Derek Jones. Then there is a gap before Alain Michel goes through. Behind Michel, who is in 5th position, it is the veteran Rolf Steinhausen and his passenger Bruno Hiller. So let's watch the first 4. Trainer curves. Lap 2. Wieland, Streuer, Webster. Starting to pull away from Derek Jones, who's got, to put it mildly, a much smaller budget and a less well-developed outfit. It's the top 3 teams in the world who are at the front now. 4 times world champion Wieland leads, 3 times world champion Streuer, and the reigning world champion Steve Webster. You could hardly have a better race at the front than that. There is Webster coming out of Coppice down the straight for the 2nd time at about 140 miles an hour in these sidecar outfits. And Webster's certainly not giving up, far from it. And just watch the passengers now as they get down into the outfits. You see them all tuck themselves away. Now as they come over the crest and down to the Melbourne hairpin, see them go out, reach the handholds. Streuer, Wieland, Webster. Yamaha, Krauser in terms of engines. It's a Yamaha powered outfit that leads. The bearded, heavily mustachioed Egbert Streuer, who's had an awful season. He's had 1 2nd place. And he's over the line, in the lead at the end of the 2nd lap. And Derek Jones is holding on magnificently in 4th place. Number 8, Derek Jones, the London rider, 18 years experience. There he is, British champion as far as long ago as 1978. And he won the British Grand Prix in 1980. And he's right up there. Derek Jones 4th, ahead of him, the battle for leadership on lap 3. Each of these laps 2.5 miles long. Egbert Streuer is the fastest so far, just outside the lap record, 1 minute 41.8, and that is a speed of 88.4 miles an hour in these sidecar outfits. And there's Kurt Valtisberg giving himself a quick haircut as he goes round the right-hander. So it's Stroyer, Beland and Webster, but don't ever be fooled these days by the fact that Beland is in second place. Up to this year, Rolf Beland was a very impetuous rider. He would come out with a new set of exhaust pipes to put on the bike at the last moment before the race started without them having been tested. And we're looking now at Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, who are ahead of Beland in second place. And Beland would even come out with a new fairing just before the race began. But now he has been taken over in effect by Hubert Bartol, the gifted Swiss engine tuner, who is applying some discipline to the Beland-Valtisberg teamwork. But now Steve Webster is really going for it. Egbert Stroyer's in the lead. Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt there in second place on the fourth lap. But I suspect, as ever, that this year Rolf Beland has got something in reserve. If you look at how much quicker Beland was than Webster in practice, you will see that he was almost exactly 2 seconds faster. And just before the race began, Webster went up to Beland, who'd gone round in practice in 1 minute 37, and he said, "Can you do a 1:36, Rolf?" And Beland said, "Steve, if you can do a 1:36, I can do a 1:35. And I suspect he may be right. And into the pits have gone Steve Abbott and Sean Smith, who went off on the first lap. Stroyer, fastest, 1 minute 40.64, and that is a new lap record. 1 second inside the lap record, 1 minute 40.64, 89.43 miles an hour, held now by the couple who are leading. Egbert Stroyer, who has yet to win a Grand Prix this year and would dearly love it to be here in Britain. Up to Goddard's, the very, very tight left-hander. Goddard, which leads into the start and finish straight. This is where the new Melbourne Loop joins the previous full Donington lap. And there are the first three on their fifth lap at just over 1/5 distance in this 24-lap race. And it's Stroyer leading Webster by 0.7 of a second. Beland is 1.6 seconds behind Stroyer. Jones is 6 seconds behind Stroyer in fourth position. Alain Michel is in fifth place. The Egloff brothers, who went off on the first lap, have fought their way up to sixth. Veteran Rolf Steinhausen is in seventh place. The Japanese driver Kumano is in eighth position. Stropek is ninth. Van Kempen is 10th. And Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, in closing up on Egbert Stroyer, have broken the lap record. Now we have the first lap at under 1:41, under 1 minute 41 seconds, and it is to the credit of the couple who are in second position. Number one, there it is, 140.3, 89.72 miles an hour. Are we going to have a 90-mile-an-hour lap in this sidecar race at Donington? We certainly had one in practice. 92 indeed we had in practice, but then they always go slower in the race than in practice, if for no other reason than they're carrying a much heavier fuel load. And Webster's very tight on the corner there. This is an opportunity to close up a bit on Stroyer on lap 5. Oh, what a wonderful scrap for first place. Stroyer leads, Webster second, and Beland, the World Championship leader, in third position. They're pulling away from Jones, who is still in fourth position. You may just see him. Yes, there he is, coming round Goddard. Tight up behind Jones now is Alain Michel, and Webster's going for it. Steve Webster leads the British Grand Prix on lap 5, on lap 6. Steve Webster has taken the lead. He's broken the lap record, the winner last year. Look, he's now a full machine's length away from Egbert Stroyer. So we have had Beland leading. We've had Stroyer leading. Now we have Webster leading. There's a massive crowd at Donington. They have stayed on after the 500cc race won by Wayne Rainey in the hope that Steve Webster would do this year what he did last year. And what a cheer! Listen, you can hear the crowd roaring in the background. So let's look at Steve Webster taking the lead of the British Sidecar Grand Prix on lap 6. He pulls out from behind Egbert Stroyer as they approach Redgate. Stroyer has to go wide because Webster is already there. Webster has got the inside line, the fastest line. He leads. He leads the race, but now another fastest lap because Beland is closing up. Beland has broken the lap record, 1 minute 40.05, 89.95. We are just a whisker off the first 90-mile-an-hour lap in the sidecar race at Donington in perfect weather conditions. Look at this, Webster, Stroyer, Beland. 6 laps completed. 24-lap race. Jones is still in 5th position. Alain Michel now is in 4th place. Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque, the French couple in their LCR Yamaha powered outfits, the men from Montélimar, have moved up into 4th place, ahead of Derek Jones. And Egloff has passed Jones. Egloff is really searing his way through the field as you watch the first 3 with Steve Webster leading. The Egloff brothers have moved up into 5th position. But what a drive by Steve Webster, and what a ride behind him by Tony Hewitt. Clear track in front of them. Now, let's look down the field, and as you see, Webster leading Stroyer, leading Beland, numbers 1, 2, 3 in 1st, 2nd and 3rd places. Here is the battle for 4th position, and in 4th position it's Alain Michel, and behind him the Zerbrook brothers, who went off on the first lap, and Derek Jones is in 6th position, number 8, with his passenger Peter Brown, the 2 Londoners. And there go the 7th, 8th and 9th. Kumano goes through, Masato Kumano, and Marcus Farney, his passenger, 7th. In 8th position, Steinhausen. In 9th position, Stropek. And look at that. Back into the lead goes Egbert Stroyer from Steve Webster and Rolf Beland, and I am utterly convinced that Rolf Beland is playing a waiting game. He's done this in several races this year. He has conserved his engine, he has conserved his tyres, he has watched what the opposition was doing all round the lap in terms of braking, accelerating, the line they take on the corners. He's got a lot of power in reserve from that Krauser engine, and I think he's going to make a challenge in the last 2 or 3 laps of the race, and we're now on lap 8. Stroyer leading up to McLean's, Webster right behind him, Beland is 3rd, Michel is 4th, the Egloff brothers are 5th, Jones is still 6th. And Beland is the fastest man on the circuit, 1 minute 40.05, 89.95 miles an hour, as near to 90 as you can get. And Beland's going for it, takes a little look, just shows Steve Webster that he's there. And of course that remark from Beland to Webster before the race began, if you can do a 1:36, I can do a 1:35, will have registered with Steve Webster. Now this is where Webster overtook Stroyer, who runs very wide. That's where Beland did so too, and now Webster is going into the lead again, and he does so. Steve Webster leads into Goddard, and he completes the lap in this magnificent scrap between the world's top sidecar teams and outfits in what are, in effect, 500cc racing cars, because they have a main... You can hear the crowd roaring in the background because they've seen the British pairing of Webster and Hewitt not only go into the lead, but pull away a bit. Now, Webster is trying to break the opposition. These outfits, if you can see them without the spare fairing, are a central riveted up aluminium spar from which the engine is hung behind the driver's backside, and to which the platform for the passenger is attached. They have link suspension for the rear wheel, and they have special steering with links in the front, rigid sidecar wheel, of course. And here they come, Webster, Stroyer and Beland on lap 9 out of 24. With the records being broken all the way round. We've got a new lap record and we're certainly going to have a new race record. Watch the passengers again, see them as one. Get down. Just a quick look to see where the corner's coming up. Reach out for the handhold on the right at Melbourne. Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt come from York, ex-British clubman and national champions. First Grand Prix in 1983. They've won 4 Grand Prix in their careers so far. Third in the championship in 1986. Winners of the championship in 1987. And Steve Webster's father was 3 times British grass track champion, so Steve has literally got it in the blood. Lap 10. Hollywood, the Craner Curves. Approaching the old hairpin at about 115 miles an hour. And Derek Jones and Brown are still holding that 6th position, so there are 2 British pairings in the top 6 places, and the Union Jack there to cheer them on. And you have to fight, of course, for every 10th of a second under these circumstances. As in the solo races, there is a tyre war in the sidecar class. Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt are on Avon tyres. Other competitors are on Japanese Yokohama tyres. And out of the race has gone Rolf Steinhausen and Bruno Hiller as they slide it. And you really have to be tremendously fit and very, very athletic to hang on, because the G-forces are terrific. Melbourne hairpin, lap 10. Webster, Stroyer, Beland. Goddard. End of the lap. Up through the gears. From 3rd to 4th now. To 5th, back to 2nd for Redgate. Steve Webster looking through his visor just over the edge of the fairing in front of him, his legs stretched out behind him, his arms stretched out in front of him. Winds it up now to about 11 or 12,000 RPM, down to the old hairpin for 3rd gear. Now up into 4th and 5th, 120 miles an hour, under Starkey's Bridge. Up to McLean's. If crowd support means anything, then Steve Webster's got another 5 horsepower under his chest. Out of McLean's, down to Coppice. They travel the countryside and Europe in an extremely impressive transporter, Webster and Hewitt. And now Beland is taking a look at Stroyer and going through. He's got the inside line, but Stroyer closes the door quite legally and very fairly. All these sidecar drivers know each other, trust each other, know what their abilities are. They're not going to take any stupid chances. They have raced against each other this year already, and Stroyer is through into the lead. Beland is going for 2nd place. Webster is fighting back, and he's going to go for the lead again at Goddard. Well, that proves that certainly Stroyer and Webster have got nothing in reserve. I remain unconvinced about Beland. I think he has got something in reserve. Tony Hewitt reaches out, grabs that handhold again, as does Valtisberg, as does Schneiders. I was saying, these 3 have raced against each other in Portugal and West Germany, Austria, Holland, Belgium and France. And Beland has won every time. Stroyer will want to go just 1 better than he went in Portugal. That's his best finish with Holland. He was 2nd in Assen and in Portugal. And And Webster's going to try and ride round the outside. He can't do that. This is absolutely titanic stuff. Steve Webster's highest place is second, which he did in West Germany and Belgium and France. Second in the World Championship. Biland, I remind you, has won all of them. Webster had the fastest lap in Portugal, and he's going for it. But Stroyer is on the inside of the S's. Webster's got to ease off there and let Stroyer through. And as he does so, Biland is snapping at his rear wheel. Zap, 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 over the crest, down to Melbourne. Hook it back into first gear. Webster's going through. And Stroyer, it's funny the way Stroyer runs wide every time there, and he must know that that's his danger point. And Biland is up to second. Now, is this where Biland is going for it? Once again, at the end of a lap, 12 laps completed, Steve Webster leads, but now Biland is up into second place and Stroyer goes down to third. This is the half distance point, and we can expect a cry from the crowd. Hear it? See it? Now, Stroyer has shot his bolt, I do believe. Stroyer has lost momentum with that move at Melbourne, where he ran wide, as he had done several times before. That has allowed both Steve Webster and Rolf Biland, with their passengers Tony Hewitt and Kurt Faltisberg, to maintain their momentum, and you can see what a difference it makes when they're racing absolutely on the limit all the time. And at this point they're doing nearly 100 miles an hour as they approach McLean's and exit it. Will the magic of Bartol take effect here? No, Webster's on the right line here, and Biland knows it. You see, if Biland had gone alongside Webster there, he would have been going so fast that he would not have been able to get round the left-hander, and that would have let Webster through. Now, this is where Steve took the lead. And Biland is tucking in very tight indeed. Webster's got the right line. He feeds the power in at the right place. And now you can see, as Biland comes over the crest, the gap between himself and Egbert Stroyer in third position. Biland is still the fastest man on the course. We've still not got the 90-mile-an-hour lap. 13 laps completed on lap 14, 24-lap race, new lap record. Great stuff up at the front. Last year's winner, the reigning world champion, Steve Webster. And Biland looking very dangerous there. Coming out of the Craner curves. Round the left-hander on the approach to the right-handed old hairpin. And up into fourth place has gone Alain Michel. He's gone past the Egloff brothers. And on lap 14, over half distance, this is the battle for the lead. Steve Webster and Rolf Biland separated by the distance that you can see. Egbert Stroyer is dropping back a little. The Egloff brothers, who were fourth, are now fifth because Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque have moved up to fourth place. Derek Jones and his passenger are still in sixth place. Shimano, the Japanese driver, is in seventh position. Eighth is Stropek, ninth is Scherer, 10th is Stelzler, 11th is Bosman, the Australian, and in 12th position the Zerbrook brothers, who have dropped right back. They were at one time fourth. Now, both these outfits are powered by Krauser engines. Krauser, the West German accessory manufacturer, who's put a lot of money into 80cc solo racing and sidecar racing by, in the case of the sidecars, producing these special engines. And in the case of Steve Webster's outfit, the engine is built and tuned by himself, and very capably. He had problems in practicing. And out of the race now, is this going to affect things? No, they both rocket past. And Biland's engine, as I said, is built and tuned by his countryman, Hubert Bartol, the ex-250cc rider. And I've still got a niggling feeling that Rolf Biland, having passed Stroyer, who is now some nearly 4 seconds behind this battle for the lead, that Biland is toying with Steve Webster, notwithstanding the fact that there is a new lap record. And up into the lead, sure enough, goes Rolf Biland on this, the 15th lap. Now we are going to see whether he has indeed been right on the limit or whether he has had something in reserve all the time, and he's decided now is the time to dispirit the opposition by taking the lead, putting in a really searing lap, in which case we're going to see another new lap record and building up an advantage. For Steve Webster's sake and Tony Hewitt's sake, I hope I'm wrong, but now into Redgate for the 16th time in this 24-lap race, Biland, Webster, and this is the 3rd time that Webster has dropped back. It's only the 2nd time that Rolf Biland has been in the lead. He led at the end of the 1st lap. Now he's leading at the end of the 15th lap. And Webster's through!
Maybe I was wrong.
Webster, Biland. You may have been sandbagging, Rolf, says Steve Webster, but so have I. I have had a little in reserve all the time. And look at the crowd, love it. Record crowd at Donington. I think a record crowd for any British motorcycle Grand Prix meeting. And here it is again. Steve Webster closing up on Rolf Biland, who was leading at the time. Coming out of the Craner curves, moving across to the right-hand side as Biland drifted to the left, straight through. Beautiful bit of driving, magnificent piece of road holding. So it is, in terms of the tyre war, the Avons are at the front because Biland is on the Yokohama brand, and Webster leads at the end of the 16th lap. Webster, Biland, Stroyer, and now Alain Michel has moved up into 3rd place. Stroyer has gone down. Egbert Stroyer, who led the race for 4 laps and then dropped back to 2nd to retake the lead on the 11th place, went down to 3rd position, is now in 4th position and is clearly in trouble. Egbert Stroyer and Bernard Schneiders have been passed by Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque. There is the new 3rd place pairing of the very popular French duo Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque from Montélimar. 12 years in Grand Prix racing, but up at the front the battle continues to rage. And I must say I'm beginning to luxuriate in having doubt about the situation now, because Steve Webster is going absolutely magnificently. Last year's winner, the reigning world champion, quiet, modest, unassuming, with the ever cheerful Tony Hewitt alongside him, doing the business in the sidecar or on the platform rather, because there's nothing there in the way of a chair. And it was less than half a second, the lead at the end of the 16th lap. They're just coming into Goddard now. The 17th time, up goes the chair wheel. Tony Hewitt gets his weight over further to the left, brings it down to the deck again. They cross the line. Being Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, 9 years they have been racing, 6 years in Grand Prix. 2nd in West Germany, 3rd in Portugal, 3rd in Austria, 3rd in Holland, 2nd in Belgium, 2nd in France. Is he going to be their first win here And now in 4th position, well, poor Egbert Streuer is down to 5th position now, because the Egloff brothers, fighting their way back into the race, have moved up into 4th place. It's Webster leading, Bilan 2nd. There's the gap. Michel 3rd, and he is 7 seconds behind the leaders. Egloff is 10 seconds behind the leaders. Streuer down to 5th. Cumano is in 6th position. Derek Jones is in 7th place. Stropek is 8th. Scherer is 9th. Stelzler brothers are 10th. Zerbrugge and his brother are 11th. Kumagaya is in 12th position, and Biland has taken the lead again at the S's as they approach the tail enders, and this could change everything. Lap 18. Now this could consolidate Biland's lead or lose it. Webster saw his opportunity there, moved right up onto the rear wheel of Biland's outfit. Biland is past one before they get to Goddard. If Webster doesn't get through, he'll have a problem, but he has. So there's 2 more outfits now to be passed. Past Ray Gardner and Tony Strevens go both Biland and Steve Webster. So thus far, the tail enders have not interfered with the momentum or the positioning of the first 2, but there's still 2 tail enders to be passed. Biland has increased his advantage over Webster on lap 19, however. They're coming up now to René Progrin and Ivan Hunziker in the same-as outfit. No problem there, and Webster's through, and now Webster's right back with Biland. Just 1 more pairing to pass. Biland and Webster. Biland goes through at McLean's. Webster doesn't. And Webster's being held up. He's got to get past here. Must get past. Biland is increasing the gap. And they're being held up by Jean-Louis Millet and Claude Debreu in their elf outfit, while Webster's past him. And to be fair to Millet, it really hasn't affected the balance of things very much. And we're on lap 19. Well, now Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt have got to exert every muscle and every mouse power in that Krauser engine to close the gap between themselves and Rolf Biland, so that they are in a position to strike when they want to, if they can. The gap now is 1.5 seconds, and that is a lot. Biland leading on this, the 20th lap, with 3 laps to go at the end of this one. 4 laps to go at the end of this one. 4 laps to go at the end of this one, and the gap is 1.5 seconds. And as I say, that is a lot. And it looks as though we are not going to have that 90 mile-an-hour lap. The lap record is still held by Rolf Biland, the man that you're looking at. Brilliant engineer is Biland. His one problem from an engineering point of view is that he is so much of an ideas man that if he gets a new idea, he loves to try it, sometimes without enough testing. 1.5 seconds then was the gap at the end of the lap. Well, there's going to be another. They're coming up now behind Andre Bosman and Dave Kellett, the Australians. And I fear that Biland, from the point of view of Steve Webster, is going to have the advantage of getting past Bosman before the Melbourne hairpin. Yes, he has. You see, Biland is definitely benefiting from the traffic. Unless Webster, yes, Webster's all right. He can sail through here. 1.5 seconds was the gap then at the end of the 19th lap. They're coming up to the end of the 20th lap as they go into Goddard. And as they exit Goddard, it is Biland now and Webster now, and the gap is 1.47 seconds. So, all right, he's taken 3/100ths of a second out of the lead of Ralph Biland, he being Webster. Not enough. Try harder. And Steve Webster is trying all he knows, I'm very sure that. The crowd willing him on. conditions are absolutely ideal for this Sidecar Grand Prix. The sun has disappeared behind the cloud, but it is still very warm. The track is in ideal condition. Up to McLean's, lap 21. And it's certainly not 1.5 seconds now. Biland looks over his shoulder, and there, looking grimly across the fairing of him, at him are the eyes of Steve Webster. Whoops. This is down to the S's, and this is where Steve Webster could close up, and this is where the traffic could actually be to Biland's disadvantage. Left, right. Kurt Baltisberg keeps his head well down. He's not doing any looking back. Neither would I in his position. Round the right-hander at Melbourne. And look at it, Steve Webster has closed the gap. One of the greatest sidecar world champions of all time was the late, great Eric Oliver, and Steve Webster is in the same mould. The gap now is 0.6 of a second. Steve Webster has reduced the lead by 2/3. He goes very wide at Redgate, cuts across onto the apex. He's moving up on Biland all the time. This is lap 22. There are only 2 laps at the end of this one, and Steve Webster is right with Biland. He's going for it. Oh my goodness, he's through! Steve Webster takes the lead on the 22nd lap. Oh, magnificent. And the Union Jacks are waving, and the crowds are shouting, and they're waving, and they're cheering, and Webster's on his way. The winner last year at the British Sidecar Grand Prix, Steve Webster, the world champion, has yet to win a Sidecar Grand Prix in 1988. If he's going to do it, let's look at it again. Let's savour this moment. There's Biland leading. Webster gets closer and closer, moves out, just misses the rear of Biland's outfit with the nose of his machine. Rides round the outside of the Krauser-powered LCR of Rolf Biland and Kurt Baltisberg to take the lead. Can he hold it? Coming down to Melbourne, lap 22. To start the last lap but one. There are only 5 miles to go. 5.2 miles to go at the end of this lap. And it's Webster leading. Biland second, Michel third, Egloff fourth, Stroyer fifth, Kumano sixth, Jones seventh. And Steve Webster now leads Rolf Biland. The tables have been turned. He's leading Rolf Biland by 0.7 of a second. Look at the crowd now. But that movement, his arms, his programs, his hats, if you could only hear the noise, because we're on lap 23 in this 24-lap British Sidecar Grand Prix, with the prospect of a victory for Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, the British pairing, not so very far away. This fella's really having a great day. Now, are we going to... all we need now, the icing on the cake is a 90-mile-an-hour lap. Steve Webster looks at Tony Hewitt, gets a little nod from his passenger. I'm okay, Steve, keep it up. There they go, here they come. And I've been saying all along that Biland's probably got something in reserve. If he has, it is now or never, or will be soon, as Steve Webster really clips the curve going into the S's. Tony Hewitt tucks himself into an even smaller ball of humanity, comes up, and this is a gap. Well, unless Biland has got water injection or something like that, and I know he hasn't, it looks to me as though he is beaten, because Steve Webster exits Goddard in the lead with a gap between himself and Rolf Biland of 1.4 seconds. He has doubled the lead that he had at the end of the 22nd lap. He is into his last lap. Steve Webster, world champion, who is 24 points behind Rolf Bieland in the World Championship of 1988. Bieland, having won every one of the previous 6 races this year, looks as though he has got the 4 times world champion Swiss pairing of Rolf Bieland and Kurt Valtisberg beaten. They're coming out from under Starkey's Bridge up to McLean's for the 24th and last time. What a marvellous day of racing it's been here at Donington for this British Grand Prix meeting. Victory for Wayne Rainey in the 500cc race, his first win ever in the 500cc Grand Prix category. And now Steve Webster looks as though he's got it made. He's now on his way down to the Melbourne hairpin. He's just got to do the Melbourne hairpin, then the rise up through 2nd, 3rd and 4th gears, out of the hairpin, up to Goddard, the left-hander. He's surely not going to make a mistake here. It's going to be a famous victory. Here he is, Webster. He's only got a few hundred yards to go now, 200 yards, into the left-hander of Goddard. It is victory in the Sidecar British Grand Prix for Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt. They have beaten 4 times world champions Rolf Bieland and Kurt Valtisberg, who have won every other round this year. But hats off too to Bieland and Valtisberg. Webster and Hewitt have got all sorts of advantages here. There's one of them in the background. A marvellous race, one of the best sidecar races I have ever seen. Victory for Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt for the 2nd year in succession, to close the World Championship gap between themselves and Rolf Bieland and Kurt Valtisberg. In 3rd position, the French pairing of Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque. In 4th position, the Egloff brothers, Marcus and Urs. In 5th position, Egbert Stroyer and Bernard Schneiders, and in 6th place, Kumano, the Japanese driver. And the crowd breaks ranks, as they did when Wayne Rainey won, to invade the track. And as ever with the British crowd, they will go back to their places afterwards. This is real enthusiasm. A wonderful end to an absolutely magnificent day of motorcycle racing at Donington. And Tony Hewitt's collected a Union Jack, just as Ezio Gianola collected a flag of his country when he had won the 125cc race, and Cadalora collected an Italian flag when he won the 250 race. So Tony Hewitt comes home proudly with the Union Jack alongside his driver Steve Webster, a magnificent victory. So Rolf Bieland and Kurt Valtisberg continue to lead the World Championship, but as you can see, the gap between themselves and Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt in 2nd place has been reduced. Alain Michel and Jean-Marc Fresque in 3rd position, and in 4th place Egbert Stroyer. That was a great sidecar British Grand Prix.